welcome to this week's episode of Certified Forgotten. We are the podcast slash website slash media empire that talks about underseen and underappreciated horror films. You know the drill by now. This is not likely your first episode of the podcast, but as a reminder, we alternate hour-long episodes with really cool guests, with 30-minute episodes where it's just me and my co-host and co-founder Matt Donato talking about a particular new release or new releases in the instance of a film festival. And because this past week was the 20th anniversary of Fantastic Fest, and there were a lot of really good movies that played, Donato and I both covered it. Him, unfortunately, in person, and me, fortunately, remotely, virtually. We have some picks to be able to share with the audience back home. But Donato, how are you feeling? You are like everyone else, just knocked on your ass with the worst version of Fantastic Fest flu that has ever gone around.
Yeah, I mean this is how I sound if I am froggier than usual and more lethargic. we are we're working on it. But listen, it was fortunate to be there as well. The unfortunate part is the ending, let's say, and let's just say I am testing negative so far, so we're not complaining, but yeah, oh man, I got knocked on my ass. It was like my body knew the minute I landed in LA, and it has been couch time ever since. But saw lots of good movies, saw lots of good friends, did all the thing I did the thing I always do. I say, hey, I'm gonna have fun this fest. I'm gonna space out time and see people a bunch. And instead I wrote 14, 15 reviews on the ground and saw a total of 25 movies, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
once again, not going to complain about that in the least. I got very lucky, and a certain website last minute was like, hey, can we actually take a ton from you? And I was like, yes, you can. Let's go for it.
That's very cool. I'm glad for that, and I know you saw a lot of mutual friends of ours. I have a Slack message from our dear friend Molly Henry. I haven't watched it yet, but I think it's just a bunch of the videos of you getting flogged at the closing night party for my viewing pleasure. So the good times will continue to keep rolling a little bit, at least for me. Obviously, hope you feel better, fast recovery. But there is nothing that heals the aching soul a little bit more than talking about movies. So, Donato, you and I had different experiences with what was available to us. When you attend a festival in person, you get to see everything. When you attend a festival virtually, odds are, for a variety of reasons, some of the distributors don't want to make screeners available either because they're being overly cautious with the movie leaking, or they realize that it's close enough to the premiere date that they just don't care about expanding the critic pool as much, and people will catch it when they catch it. Let's talk about some of the stuff maybe that you got to see in person that wasn't available for screeners. Some of those secret screenings, some of those bigger opening night, closing night type things that only the folks boots on the ground got to watch.
Yeah, and I will say there is an interesting comparison between doing virtual and only having screeners and being in person because I for Fantasia, for example, I do that remotely now. And what I get on screeners, because you are correct, like a lot of the bigger movies are not going to give you a screener. They tend to be maybe the smaller or the movies that are less attended because,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I know, the movie knows they're playing against a slot that they're not just going to have the tickets for. Like everyone's going to go for the other thing. So I actually enjoy sometimes doing remote because I see things I would not in person. And that's doubly true at Fantastic Fest because I was in person and some of the movies that you had time for, I did not. So it's a fun little like back and
Yeah.
forth of, oh, well, I can't be there in person, but I might be covering things that people on the boots on the ground, like they're actually not covering because they have to take the priority things. And I felt that a lot this year because Fantastic Fest had a pretty good lineup of, let's say, mainstream and studio appeal movies. Those secrets, exactly what you're talking about. I actually skipped one battle after another because I'm in LA and I will still have plenty of opportunities to see it moving forward. I
Yeah.
am a I'm a Paul Thomas Anderson fan, so it was not me skipping him because I didn't want to see it. But I don't know, when I'm at Fantastic Fest, that's the kind of movie I'm not going to see there.
Yeah.
Like the awards contender that I'm going to have plenty of access to, once again, privilege, but admitting it, and I have that privilege. So honestly, I used that time to be my one of my few slots. I just went to the highball and saw people. So I'm happy I skipped that one. But that was only one of 4 secret screenings. There were still 3 others. The first was Silent Night, Deadly Night, the remake that is
Which you were
going to
really
be.
happy about, I saw.
I was really happy about it because I was a little nervous. I am a huge Silent Night fan, the Stephen C. Miller remake. So there's already one good remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night. So in my mind, it's like, okay, are we just going to do this again? What are we going to do? And in the least spoilery way possible, because it is a December release, the Cineverse team and Mike P. Nelson specifically, the writer director, who you probably know from the Wrong Turn remake, which I did not enjoy. I will say that outright. More skepticism. Like literally, I came
Yeah.
into this movie going, I already didn't like a remake from this guy, but the way in which he found a unique angle to Wrong Turn, he does that again in Silent Night, Deadly Night, but this time for me, it works a lot better. He found an endpoint that is not just Killer Santa murders people. Maybe he's crazy, maybe he's just a killer, whatever that is. There is something so fresh and new about his take on Silent Night, Deadly Night that is still respectful of the original. He still pays plenty of homage to it. Like everything is there that you would want from a remake, but the ties are very they're very thin, let's say. And again, not in a bad way. I think they're very thin in a way that gives him so much room to grow, and it just becomes a completely different movie. So
Yeah.
I was happy with it. It's again, it's Cineverse, and you'll read on on the poster, like from the producers of Terrifier. Don't expect Terrifier level gore. That's not what this movie is really going for. There are some great kills, but it's not that type. This is more Rohan Campbell going out there and kind of doing more Halloween End stuff. It's just a really interesting character take on Silent Night, Deadly Night, and that's all I want to say about that.
I will ask one question, but no spoilers. I have seen a couple of people comment that it's a surprisingly anti-guns slasher.
It's anti-guns and anti-Nazi very aggressively. Yes.
Hmm.
Like out loud saying
Yeah,
it to make a point.
that's interesting. Okay, put a pin in that one until December. I'm sure we'll talk about it in an upcoming episode of Uncertified. That's another secret screening down. Any of the other secret screenings you want to talk about? Maybe a Gore Verbinski, for example.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other two, really quickly. The first one was Yorgos Lanthimos's Begonia, which is a remake of a 2003 South Korean movie called Save the Green Planet, and it unfortunately didn't work for me. It's a conspiracy piece where basically Jesse Plemons' character is a crazy kind of Reddit forum theorist type who believes aliens are taking over the Earth. So he kidnaps Emma Stone's pharmaceutical company CEO, and he believes she's one of like the queens of the alien race that's trying to examine us and whatever he thinks they're going to do to us. So it's this strung out kind of conspiracy bro who's been brainwashed by the internet, basically just trying to get information out of this woman who he has kidnapped. And the whole movie is she an alien, is she not an alien? And there's a lot of really great character work between the two of them. I think for so long it's so interesting, but for where it ends, I I don't love it. I actually think it
Hmm.
kind of unravels the entire movie, and whether or not it's actually sticking to the original, like whether it actually does what the 2003 version of the movie does, I just think the story doesn't play as well in today's climate. And like that's kind of how I want to word it. And
Yeah.
I'm it's unfortunate because I'm all for a dark, bleak kind of movie. I'm all for a however you want to characterize the way this movie goes and whatnot. It's fun. It's quirky. It's still Yorgos. Like it's all Yorgos. Yorgos. There's some great production value, all that stuff. But it was just like a big sigh at the end, and I was like, So I actually didn't like it. That's one of the few negative reviews I actually wrote out of Fantastic Fest, because it has distribution. Obviously, we're all going to be able to see Begonia very soon, so that one I'm okay to negative.
I
The
will
one I
say I
did,
know that I know that for years Rob Hunter, mutual friend, has been banging the drum for Save the Green Planet. So I'm really excited to see. If nothing else, I'm really excited to see his thoughts on Yorgos's film because he has the only reason that I know about Save the Green Planet is because he's brought it up like a bunch on social media. It's kind of one of his pet projects. I feel like so interesting choice for a remake. And I will at some point this year probably take in a double feature because I've never seen the original Save the Green Planet either.
Yeah, written by Will Tracy too, part of the Menu writing team. So I was really high on this.
Mhm.
I was hoping to really like it, and I did not. And the last one, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. I really liked it. Gore Verbinski's new movie. It's going to
Yeah.
be, I think it's January 2026. It is a 2026 release. I believe it's January, so not too far off when I say it's coming out next year. But the way I kind of wrote it in my review, and that's on IGN as well right now. Like the AI apocalypse is just so much more boring than Terminator or any other fantasy movie ever had us believe. It's one of those things where like AI is inevitable now. You know, AI is here. We're no longer facing the future of it. We're in it, and it's deep fakes, and it's all these shitty algorithms, and it's all these things, and it's brainwashing. And I'm not saying we're on course to you know, humanity's definitely going to be destroyed by AI. I don't want to say it that way, but when you see movies that try to predict where AI could go wrong, I think Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is the best representation of that so far, because it does address AI for what it is right now versus the fantastical farce that it could be. And it's actually a movie that's not about having to destroy AI for the better of humanity. It's about regulating AI. So it's a really smart take on number one being a wacky sci-fi adventure, because Sam Rockwell is fucking amazing, and he is playing this who again we have to believe is a man from the future trying to save the world because AI has taken over and we have become brainless zombies to this algorithmic monster. And he looks like you're kind of just generic homeless LA crazy, and that is the whole thing you're trying to figure out this whole movie. Is he really from the future, or is he a crazy? But he's on the 117th or 118th attempt of a mission, and he ends up at a diner, and he has to find the right connection of people to go on this mission with him, and he won't succeed until he finds that. So like we get to see a mission go out. Like we get to see this guy just be like, I've done this so many times. I know where this is going usually, but hopefully this is the right collection of people that is going to save the
Yeah.
world. So that like it is a bizarre, wacky concept. Verbinski again has a lot of fun with it. It is definitely comedy forward, and it is definitely very punchy at times too as well. But like again, the thing that's sticking with me is the conversation about AI is so crystal clear. Like it's not messy. It's not you're trying to figure out if this movie is trying to advocate for it or fight against it. It's also not preachy. It is literally just like this guy is screaming like, "Hey, I'm from the future. Things get worse," but also like the assessment of where we are is also very it's very good. I just don't want to get
Mhm.
much more into it. It's just saying so many good things about AI that is not the usual fuck this or the like unrealistic. Once again, it's not inevitable, it's here. So how do we use it correctly versus Terminator fucking Skynet wars?
Yeah. So I know that it's been um, almost a decade since we last saw Verbinski. I believe the last film, the last theatrical release he had was A Cure for Wellness. Was that the last thing that actually was in theaters? Um, Obviously, horror fans love Gore Verbinski because he is somebody that can make blockbuster movies, but also isn't afraid to shy away from like good horror shit. It's rare to find filmmakers that can operate at that 100 million or more level that still understand what makes a good scary movie tick. So how are we feeling about Verbinski after having been away for a minute working on those Bioshock movies that never ended up happening? Is he still got the goods? Is he still proving himself? You know, the master of the practical and the master of the spectacle.
I will say without revealing too much, the spectacle is very alive. There are some big elements, large well, let's just say there are creatures created by shitty prompts, and leave it at that.
Okay. Well, I for one am going to be very excited to see Gore Verbinski back. Are you a Cure for Wellness truther? Do you like that movie?
I am one of the few. Yeah, I
You and me
think
both. All right, there we
I'm
go.
pretty sure I'm one of the few positive reviews there on Rotten Tomatoes for Cure.
That's amazing. And you know, Dane DeHaan in Cure, Sam Rockwell in this one. He needs a weird little actor who will absolutely commit. So I'm glad to see that Rockwell has the juice. Everybody was praising his performance coming
Yeah,
out of this
Amelia
movie. So
actually, like Amelia correctly pointed out, Rockwell feels very Hitchhiker's Guide in a different way, but still
mhm.
that is the charisma he is bringing, and it is very true.
So let's move on to some of the stuff that weren't the big screenings. You saw 25 films. I saw four and counting. We both have a few other screeners that I know we're going to go through over the next couple of days. Is there anything that jumped out? I have one or two movies that really stood out for me that I want to talk about. We probably do. We want to start with an overlap and talk about Beast of War because I know that was a movie that we were both pretty high on. All right, so let's start there. And apologies if I'm mispronouncing the name. I believe that it's Kaya Roach Turner, who is the director of the original Wormwood movies, which were pure grindhouse Australian Mad Max wannabe, blood, guts, and gore kind of things, like post Robert Rodriguez grindhouse kind of stuff. They're fun, they're energetic, they have a lot of energy. He goes and makes himself a period horror film about a shark that is killing off people that have survived a sunken ship during World War II. I know both of us like this quite a bit. I want to say there's sort of a special, and maybe this is again the Verbinski of it all. There's something special I think about like low budget horror filmmakers that are pulled up into something that is maybe a little bit more substantive and prove that they've got the goods. Because then you've got it's like the Peter Jackson is a better example of that, right? Peter Jackson cut his teeth on like pure grindhouse horror. Then he made the Lord of the Rings movies, and you have these things that are polished and classy, but still have that like little gremlin streak in them where there are scenes and bits and stuff where you're like, oh yeah, this is the guy that made Dead Alive, right? He's still in there somewhere. That was kind of the vibe I got from Beast of War. Very mature, very polished film. Spends a lot of time in its opening establishing the characters during basic training, shades of Tigerland, shades of Band of Brothers, like how you build camaraderie between a group. And then it gets silly and gory without ever losing kind of the polish that it has. There's a couple of effects and concepts in there that you're just like only somebody from a grindhouse background could think of a broken air raid siren that allows the shark to basically scream as it's coming at people. That's a great idea. It's a silly idea. It's not something that, somebody who's used to making bigger budget movies only would kind of come up with. But you were one of the first people to latch on to this one because you love your shark exploitation films, and you are, I think, one of the most fair and, well, I'll just say that, not harsh, just most fair critics out there when it comes to if a shark movie is good. You have a very broad, uh, uh, you're very open-minded to all flavors of shark films, whether they are, complete low-budget nightmares or they're stuff that are done with big studios. I feel like this is one of your favorites from the last few years.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you just said it. I am definitely fair, but I definitely have a higher bar for shark movies maybe because while I do subject myself to lots of indies and I give them a shot every time because I'm always rooting for you. If you're a shark movie, I am always rooting for you, but you got to give me a good shark. Like that's
Yeah,
number 1 on the list. If you can't pull the shark off, that's your function of a shark movie. So for me, Beast of War already gets points because while maybe the shark doesn't have the most mobile body, let's say, or like even a lot of different, I guess, like expressions. I was trying to think of a better word than expressions, but that is what
yeah,
I'm going for because this is a shark that can basically jump out of the water and look like it's about to eat you and then like close its mouth, but it's pure mechanical. Like they're using a practical here the whole time, and that fucking rocks. Like that's so much better than shitty CGI
yeah,
that can at least swim around and stuff but looks god awful. So right off the bat, like I fell in love with Beast of War because you're giving me the mechanical shark feel that these movies need, but also to your point, it does everything to establish the characters correctly. I think the wartime backdrop is also just adding a little bit of fun to it because not only are you worrying about the shark, but there's a Japanese fighter pilot in the sky that might be shooting at these people too. So it just finds really unique ways to keep danger amplified. But that gore, like there are gore moments, and this is where it goes back to the horror director.
hmm
There's one specific where a grenade is involved, and just a body just turns into fucking chunks in front of you. Like it's
yes.
so good. So Beast of War was one of my high points. That definitely sells the shark, but it also sells it as a bigger movie and it has more going on. And I don't want to say that steals away from any of the shark carnage or even like distracts from it, but it adds to it. It elevates. Like this is everything a good director does. And again, Roche Turner, like that's the reason I was actually drawn to Beast of War, let alone being a shark movie. But when I saw who directed it, I was like, nah, all in.
Yeah. What else jumps out at you? What were some of your other, maybe name another favorite from the festival?
I'm gonna thump for Deathstalker,
Of
Steven
course, of
Kazansky's.
course.
Like listen, I have to. We've got the director of I mean, listen, Astron 6, number one, we all know and love if you're an indie schlock kind of person. So Kazansky comes here and he remakes an 80s fantasy swords and magic movie produced by Slash with a closing credit song written by Slash and Bear McCreary, starring a stuntman who has been in such movies as Atomic Blonde and John Wick, co co-voiced by, I was going to say co-starring, but technically co-voiced by Patton Oswalt as Doodad, the mystical little magician. Fucking this movie is crazy. I mean, it's as crazy as you think it'll be. We all know at this point, if you hear the word Astron 6, and especially Kazansky, like it's practical forward. It's just all practical forward in a do it yourself, not derogatory way. Like the effects are so fun. Bodies are being splattered. I was comparing it to Army of Darkness. Like that's the vibe of
Mm,
this. It
mm,
is this heavy metal, old school sword fights and fireballs kind of movie. And it really does feel like that throwback, almost Harryhausen esque, where you've got so many miniatures and so much fun there. But then the Peter, not to bring up Peter Jackson again, but straight up old school Peter Jackson that is just covered in gore. So I am just watching this thing with a big smile on my face. It never takes itself seriously. It's always good at like making fun of itself, but as satire and also as really fun loving satire, not, you know, taking shots at the old movie. There's so much love for what the genre is and what it's, it's not, no one's really watching that kind of fantasy anymore. So it's really trying to bring us back to a time that, hey, you like wizards, you like weird spells and
yeah.
weird quests, you like one-eyed monsters flying in the sky that are basically just arts and craft models. Yeah, no. I Deathstalker was everything I wanted from it, and it put a smile on my face. And I'll even latch that to say like there's a second Deathgasm movie, Deathgasm 2 Gormageddon, that also played fantastic. I also saw that. I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna be one of the only people that actually gives it a good review, and it's because I love Deathgasm so much, and this movie has it's like the jokey little sibling of a sequel. It's not exactly the same on a horror level. It's not as straightforward now, but if you've seen Deathgasm, you know there is a band that is formed. They play the Black Hymn. Half the band dies by the end of the movie because they have summoned basically the apocalypse and they have to defend against it. Deathgasm 2 is a pure buddy comedy. Like they use the Black Hymn again, but the main character Brody, played by Mila Cawthorn, who is from Blood Punch, our episode with Meg Norman, if you
Hmm.
have listened to that. So that's Milo's movie as well. But I love Milo. He's the front man. He's the guitarist. He uses the Black Hymn to summon his former bandmates. So it becomes this weird kind of, I was almost gonna say Weekend at Bernie's, but it's not. It's way more Fido. If you've ever seen the zombie movie
Yeah.
Fido, and he's trying to keep his bandmates happy and fed, so they don't feed on innocence, while also trying to win a battle of the bands. And like that's the concept. The stakes are much more a loser slacker is playing with necromancy to try to win his girlfriend back and win a battle of the bands. So this it's lighthearted. It's all that stuff. It is very juvenile. I'm not going to argue against it. I think that's why it's not going to hit a lot of people's sense of humor. So that's going to make it harder for them. But I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. There's an entire glory hole sequence where a zombie plays whack a mole with dicks, and there is so much gore. Like there is just so much gore, and I can't. not attach it to Deathstalker when talking about it, because once again, Peter Jackson. I like it's so funny to go back and just see all these filmmakers, and especially New Zealand, Australia. And this is actually funny too. Deathgasm and Beast of War, Kairos Turner. We're talking about two Australian, New Zealand
Yeah.
projects. Just loving that Peter Jackson old school mentality, and so many Americans and so many of us in the mainstream. Oh, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Like, no, this dude's brain dead. This dude's
Yep.
bad taste. Like, that's the Peter Jackson we know and love. And so many filmmakers still attaching themselves to that. But yeah, Deathgasm 2. If you're a fan of the first, I think you're going to like the second. If you're not a fan of the first or haven't seen the first, I wouldn't start with the sequel.
Yeah, that's fine. I have not seen either of them, so I will take your advice to heart if and when I decide to go watch some gory Tenacious D fan fiction, maybe kind of
Yeah,
whatever that
yeah,
might
yeah,
be
yeah,
like.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. As for me, two of the things that I saw that really stood out in the screeners, my favorite film of the festival so far is a film called 13 Days Till Summer. It is apparently, don't expect to see it anytime soon. The buzz on the ground is that they're not going to be pushing for a North American release in any format anytime in the near future, which is a bummer because it is a very polished, extremely feel bad slasher. Which, if you know me, is kind of surprising that I'm pushing or promoting this one so hard. I don't always love feel bad slashers, but I have been hinting at this one. I'll mention it here since we know that it's not going to come out for a little bit, and I can be a little put my thumb on the scale a little bit. It really reminds me of other Fantastic Fest films like We Need to Talk About Kevin and Super Dark Times. It has this like really ugly youth culture kind of energy to it while also being a very polished and very smart slasher. So if that happens to play, maybe it plays at a festival near you. Maybe that's the opportunity you get to see it at some point within the next few years. I would check that out. Otherwise, the film that you should actually be able to see sometime soon is The Vial, which is another Emirati film. This one is about a wife and her daughter and what happens to them when their husband brings down a second wife. It's from a friend of the podcast, not that we know him personally, but we just love his movies that much. Majid Al Ansari, who did Rattle the Cage, which we talked about in a previous episode. Fucking fantastic. You know, one of the only good like Tarantino esque movies in terms of like a group of characters in a place talking it through and being violent. The Vial was an award winner. It brought home, I think, Best Direction in the Fantastic Fest Awards. So I'm not alone here. Other people will agree with me. But Alan Sari is just an incredibly talented filmmaker. The Vial is fun. It's not overly mean. It does some stuff with plays with like silent film style imagery in a way that I think is really cool. So that would be kind of my recommendation. I imagine this one will find its way onto a streaming platform sooner rather than later. And if you like exploring international cinema, if you like these kinds of stories in particular, The Vial is the one I would say go seek out if you can. Did you get a chance to catch that one, Donato?
No, I still have that screener. That is
Okay,
one of today's projects
I
because I
recommend
am
it.
still late up today. It's only 9 in the morning recording this, so I have a good chunk of time left. I think I'm gonna hit that. I just reached out for a screener for 13 days right now.
I would really like to have a conversation with you after you see it because I think that I think of you as a slasher guy. Like if I had to put you in any box in particular, like it all flows from slashers for me. All these stuff like Christmas horror, Shark Attack movies, they're all variations of what is the slasher formula. I think you're really, really good at picking apart what's good and bad about something that operates in that genre. In 13 Days of Summer, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a potentially great. I feel like it's one of those films that in 20 years time could be regarded as one of the defining slashers of its era, which I know sounds like it's damning or like a huge amount of praise for it, but I just think that it executes well as a slasher while also tapping into some stuff that feels timely and relevant. And it's just super fucking feel bad. Like it is a real downer of a movie. And again, if you know me, you know how good it has to be for me to be talking about it with such high praise. Last one, we've got time for one more. Donna, quickly name one other thing you love that isn't maybe an explosion of gore.
Obsession. It's sold for 17. I think it was 17 million of Focus Features out of Toronto, and I came in knowing Curry Barker, who is the filmmaker. And Curry Barker, if you have TikTok, he does all the "That's a Bad Idea" sketches with his partner, and I think they're hilarious.
Hmm.
Curry Barker also just did Milk and Cereal, which is free on YouTube, and for a free film that was released on YouTube, if you're a horror fan, go fucking see it. Milk and Cereal is wicked shit. But Obsession is his first directorial debut, let's say,
Yeah.
in the mainstream. Because Milk and Cereal is a full feature. I don't want to say it's his debut, but this is his first big one. And it is such a good monkey's paw thriller. The concept, it couldn't be simpler. A man has a crush on a woman, and he wishes that the woman would love him more than any other person in the world. And where he takes that concept, it is the mark of a storyteller that you know has a really bright future. It's just one of those Zach Kreger kind of comedian turned horror director. Holy shit, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
Curry Barker goes right in that conversation. I think they're just brilliant performances. I am quickly just going to Google Obsession 2025 because while the lead is Michael Johnston and he plays like the guy who makes the wish, um, Indy Navarrete is playing the woman Nikki, who is I don't even like I don't even know if to say possessed is the right word. It is such a
Compelled.
yeah, she is supernaturally influenced, let's say. And the way she plays this character who is a fucked up take on like a Hallmark type perfect love interest with kind of demonic undertones at times because it's the thing of oh my god, like it's romantic, it's lovely, like she is obsessed with me, that's so good. And then all of a sudden she's standing in the corner of the room in the middle of the night watching him sleep, and you could just get that perfect shot of the most unsettling fucking thing in the world. I can't speak enough. I think her fucking performance was probably my favorite of Fantastic, and will be one of my favorite of the year, whatever Obsession is released. I believe it'll be 2026, but I
Hmm.
really have to like call out Obsession because it is so much fun is a bad word to say about that movie because what happens is so fucking dark, but it is so entertaining. It's one of those like you get kind of addicted to the brand of bleakness that it's giving you and the mystery and everything afoot. It's really good. But yeah, it was a good year for Fantastic Fest. I really gotta say, like there wasn't much I've really disliked outside the Strangers Chapter 2 and a few indies I won't say out loud because they don't have distro yet. So, sometimes listen, it's the gamble. You gamble on some movies, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But I was majorly high on a lot of like if I'm walking out and my three favorite movies are Sisu Road to Revenge, Obsession, and Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Man, like as much as I don't want to say the bigger stuff really killed it, the bigger stuff really did kill it. As
Yeah.
much as I wanted to throw like a no budget indie in there, God, the studio stuff fucking came through.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And that's usually, I mean, no knock to Fantastic Fest. Usually the weaker things that are playing. Stuff like Saturday Night from last year. Not a knock. It's a fine movie if you like Saturday night stuff, but that's not the thing people are going to go away talking about. So it's exciting that not only that were those good movies, but they were also movies that were aligned with the festival, like overtly horror and genre stuff that people could get behind. So that's cool to see. All right, well, Donato, you have published probably somewhere between half and all of your Fantastic Rest reviews. So if folks want to follow you online, where do they go to connect with you?
Yes, if you want to read all of my reviews, most of which are online, so a few will still be publishing that I'll be promoting. And if you want to see where those go, follow me at Donatobomb, DonatoBomb, and that is mainly Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd. A little bit of TikTok here and there, so give a follow there if you'd like to. But I'm nowhere near done. I still have at least one Beyond Fest review incoming soon, and then Mr. Monagle and I will be in Brooklyn, and I will have more reviews from there and also dispatches from the Brooklyn Horror Festival. So it is spooky season. As always, give a follow, and I will have as much coverage as I can humanly have without doing more of whatever this is to my body. So thank you for dealing with my voice right now as well.
You're sounding great, Donato. As for me, you can follow me on social media. It's Monogle at bluesky.social. That's pretty much the big one. There's others, doesn't super matter. You can also follow us. We've got this podcast. You're listening to it. You'll love it. Make sure you subscribe to it on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also listen to them on YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel or you can listen to them on YouTube Music. Really a great idea across the board. You can also visit certifiedforgotten.com. If you'd like to get a free roundup of what we published the previous week on Fridays, you can get that by going to certified.com/newsletter. Our newsletter is free. We're going to be running a special promotion in October for folks to consider subscribing to the website as well. So keep an eye out for that. A little bit more coming through our social channels on Certified Forgotten. And for now, I'm going to wish Donato a happy and healthy recovery because you ain't getting me sick in Brooklyn, man. It ain't going to happen. So, fully recovered by then, fingers crossed.
I'm working on it. Don't you worry.
You got it, bud.